What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Little different video today. You guys know we send cards into PSA. We love PSA. It's a great company. Opportunities with any company, mistakes happen. You guys know we've made mistakes. The biggest thing is owning your mistakes. So we got this card from PSA. We actually did it in a reveal recently. You might have seen it. I'm going to share with you guys where the card came from. Here we go. So we actually pulled this in. You can see it was a personal break for one of the members of the community. Here it is. Pretty cool card. It's an out of 25. And you guys can see it right there. Relatively clean card. Wander Franco. And that right there is out of the Steve Aoki box. Pretty cool set, in my opinion. Kind of a fun rip. You can see a couple things on it, right? As I flex the card around, there was a small scratch there, which I'm pretty sure I got cleaned up. And there was a little mark there, which I'm pretty sure I got cleaned up. Little mark underneath the Topps logo, which I'm pretty sure was just gunk. I got that cleaned up as well. When I cleaned the card up, it looked pretty straight. Couple small things, nothing crazy. So, Josh, why are you sharing this with us? Well, again, we love PSA here. This video is not intended to crap on PSA or say anything negative about them. Mistakes happen. That's the long and the short of it. This is more about just helping you guys understand that there's a process to getting mistakes taken care of, and sometimes you have to go through the process. So here's what we ended up getting back from PSA. Ends up being a PSA 6. You guys probably notice almost straight away, it's a big scratch right here through the card, right? You can tell that it's not on the outside because as I move this around, it stays in the same place, right? If it was on the outside, you'd get a slightly different angle. It's in the exact same place the whole time. You also can see when the light hits the card and gives that shimmer, it also is giving the shimmer in the scratch. So that scratch is on the card. Presumably, when I got this, I was like, wow, that sucks. If you want to see the video, just drop a question in the comments. I can link the video for when we revealed this. I did know this was coming in because when I get the notification, I go and look just to see what our gem rate is. And when I saw a 6, I kind of went, oof, who got that? Went and looked. The member of the community whose card this is, I appreciate you very much giving me the opportunity to work to fix this. This person knew it wasn't my fault. They trusted that I sent the right card in. I actually got some great information from PSA, so I'm going to share that with you guys as well. So let's jump into, give me 1 second, let me get this ready. Let's jump into the rundown of kind of how it went with PSA. Again, this is more about just helping you guys understand the process if something like this comes up. If you guys are sending cards to PSA, I love it. You guys know I love PSA, so all my PC is pretty much all PSA. So pretty cool. I sent this in. It says a card has been damaged either en route or at your facility. Again, at this point, for all I knew, it could have been damaged in the packages, but I'm confused. I would assume that you would contact me if a card was damaged. I wouldn't have sent the card if it was damaged. I sent the video. This is convoluted information. At the time, I was just frustrated, so I wasn't sure what to write, and so I just tried to give them as much information as possible. Knowing now, I would have done a few things differently. I would have, because now I know how to pull the scan, which I'm going to show you guys, because you can pull, I don't know if you guys knew this, PSA scans every card as they come in. I'm going to show you guys that real quick. By the way, big ups to PSA for doing that. I think that's a very big deal. I love it. People say there's no transparency at PSA. I will say that, you know, they keep how they grade cards kind of proprietary, however you want to say that. They keep it to themselves. But they do scan cards for us when they come in, which is awesome. So here's one of my recent orders that just went in for the community. A few cards of my own. I usually send in a few of my own all the time, but pretty cool. So we got a National Treasures right here. We can view the card. Boom. Super easy, so you can validate that this is the right card coming in. You also can click here, save image as, and you can actually download this. Super easy. So at that point, this is your image, right? You actually have the image. It's yours. Perfect. So just to show you guys another one just for fun, let's go down here to the Mewtwo. And you can see how easy it is to quickly see which cards that you have. So you can come down, pick another one, John Elway, center stage. Bang. Takes a second for that to upload, but pretty cool. So appreciate PSA for that. I learned that in this process. Big deal. So next time I would send in the scan from them, and then you guys know that when the card's done, you also get a scan. So I won't show that, but at the end you can see the scan as well. PSA has stepped their game up. I love it. So this was the first one. Thanks for your help in this matter. Again, wasn't sure what to send. This was the response. Again, reps are trying to do their job. The reps there are genuinely very polite throughout this conversation. I don't feel as though she was rude. She or he, sorry. But I do believe that there was like a loss in translation. And I think it was me. I think I overcomplicated a little bit, but it's fine. Thank you for contacting PSA Customer Request Center. I am looking at your request. You have a photo of the card and description. However, I don't know what your concern is. I should have circled it, right? Makes a lot of sense. Should have circled it. Anyway, look forward to hearing back from you. Best regards. Again, totally polite, very reasonable response. So I send this back to him. I mailed this card in. This is a screen because, again, at this time, I didn't realize that they had screens of it. Otherwise, I would have used their scan. To be graded, you'll notice that no mark on the surface. Okay, again. And then, boom. I want to know what happened. How was this card damaged? So at this point, I don't know how they received the card. Had I gone and pulled the first scan, I think this whole process is a lot easier. I don't know if I get a better result, but the process is easier. So at this point, her response is, his, I apologize. I can understand how difficult it is to receive your items in a certain state. I am sorry to hear about your situation. So I've worked in customer service. Give you guys a little background for me. I worked at T-Mobile for a couple years. I was a supervisor. I worked my way up. I started out as just a standard rep, worked my way up. I was an interim supervisor. Sorry, I'll share it that way. But I've done supervisory things, so I have an idea from both sides, both from the representative side and from the potential supervisor side. So she or he's not taking, I keep saying she, I know who the person is. Anyway, again, she was great. She did a great job. I don't have a problem what she's doing. I'm going to explain to you what I realized. So this person, I'll say it that way, is attempting to empathize with me. But what I'm hearing as a consumer is, I'm sorry that your card sucks. Not really our fault, right? There's a couple reasons that people are either trained to or fall into the habit of doing this. One, they don't want to take responsibility because if they did, then it's PSA's fault, right? So at this point, she doesn't believe that there's anything wrong with my card that wasn't already wrong with my card, which is unfortunate because my question is, does this person collect or do they not? And I'm slipping in and out of saying she again. This isn't about her. This is just about the situation. I think they did a fine job. It is what it is. This is how the process went. So the next thing that this individual does is by looking at this, I can see you submitted your request on 4/13. The package was delivered on 3/23. Per our policy, you need to respond within 5-day grace period. Since we're almost 2 weeks past this window, we can't help you anyway. As a courtesy, though, we're going to provide you this scan. I appreciated that. Because what does this scan tell us? Well, there's the card. That to me was evidence enough, right? It got to them clean. That damage happened at PSA, right? Like you guys can see it. It's right there. It's a very large scratch. It does not exist on this photo, which means they received the card clean. So this was actually the first time that I went, oh, okay, cool. So the card's good. I hope these are helpful to illustrate that there were multiple places of concern when PSA. So in their mind, in this person's mind, they believe that I'm complaining about the 6. I'm not complaining about the 6. I'm complaining about a huge gash that's in this card that wasn't in it, right? So next, so they sent me this thinking that this made it better. Like that zoom in to me, I go, okay, so let's zoom in on this one, right? There's the zoom. There's a huge gash. Like that gash would show up in any scan from any angle. That's a huge gash. So again, I feel vindicated. I reach out to the person in the community whose card this is and I say, hey, great news. They gave us what we needed to know that, this happened on their side. Again, I'm not mad at PSA. I just want them to take ownership of it and let's find a solution that works. So I said, I'm certain you're trying to help me. I've sent in thousands of cards. I believe I've sent in close to 3,000 cards. I really wish I had asked because I'm really curious how many we're up to as a community. We sent in a lot of cards. Love your service, and I understand. I send them in, you grade them. I'm not complaining about the grade. I thank you for the incoming scan. I love to learn the fact that, again, I didn't know PSA scans them upon arrival. That's awesome. Very smart of PSA. I love it. Great use of technology. Protects them, protects us. I love it. So I showed, I'm going to put an incoming scan. So I put the scan and then I put the PSA outgoing scan, which I knew about the outgoing. I didn't know about the incoming. So very cool. You will notice a distinct scratch under the player's foot, which is missing on the first scan. Both scans were done while the card was at PSA. See untitled one below. This is where I get very specific because I'm trying to help with a little continuity so she knows. I also reached out to PSA customer service, but was directed to reach out to you. So I reached out to customer service within 3 days, but I reached out to customer service generic and I was told to reach out to this group. Also FedEx info delivery. So I put the FedEx stuff and I advised her that, I don't receive it till the next day with a PO box. I said, thanks for your help. And I've worked in customer service before. I know how it can be taxing. At this point, I'd like to speak to a supervisor. So the biggest thing that I figured out here, she's a no person, right? And there's a couple ways that customer service agents get to where they're kind of being no. So one is they could be being trained to do that, right? Like, hey, listen, a lot of people are going to demand weird stuff. Just say no. Explain why no, but just say no. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to move forward. We're trying to grade cards and move forward. And so that, in my opinion, is not the best tactic. I'm not sure if that's what PSA is doing. But there's also, she gets some out. I'm assuming she gets some outlandish requests, right? People complain about a lot of things. We've watched the videos on YouTube. Person says, hey, I pulled this card right out of a pack from 1986. It's been in a top loader since 86. How does it not get a 10? And you go, 1986, right? So like that thing's been in a top loader since 1986, right? You understand that 1986 was like 40 years ago, right? Like, I mean, it's in your closet. A rat could have gotten to it. Like, we don't know what. So it's just, they get some weird requests, I'm sure. And so this person's really, I mean, they're trying to be helpful. I think they're a little bit blind to looking at both cards and seeing it, and they're just. So anyway, so when I realized that this person was trying to kick me for the 5-day timeline, that's when I said, I got to talk to a supervisor. I don't go to the supervisor directly. You need to go through the process, but, I just, at this point, I don't believe that this person's going to help me. I believe they're just going to tell me no. They've locked in. They've already said no. I get it. It's tough to change. So this is what I had sent, right? To me, it's very easy, right? It's very easy. No scratch, and the scratch shows up in the scan, right? No scratch, scratch. It's not a huge deal. It just is what it is. Card was damaged, right? I show that Thursday it was sent out, and then I also provided the email that I sent. I didn't have that in these pictures, but this is what they sent back. I understand it's a disappointing result of your request, but I do see the scratch under the foot cleat. See below, it's not there. Since the damage was present prior to submission, we can review it for free, but you would be responsible for shipping. There's no guarantees that the outcome will be different. Please let me know. I will provide instructions. So, to be forthright, at this point, I was pretty frustrated. Just with the process. Again, I get PSA's trying to do their best job. It's a big company. I understand a lot of these things. So I didn't really even read the second part. If I had, I would have taken this option as a solution and I would have mailed the card back to them. I don't even mind paying the $5, right? Like, I shouldn't have to. I think we all can agree that, like, they should take care of it, right? Because in my opinion, as a grader, again, I don't know how they do things. PSA is their own company. They're going to make their best decisions. But as a grader, if I sit down and I go, wow, there's a big scratch on this thing, like that's very noticeable. Somebody definitely missed that. Or they sent us a damaged card. I go check that scan. It takes 2 seconds, right? I'd assume I have all the information in front of me. Just click, check the scan. And then at that point, I try to figure out what the solution is. So my question is, did the grader damage it? Was it damaged by the person who scanned it? Was it damaged somewhere between the scanner and the grader? But whoever damaged it either did it and didn't realize it, which is fine, that happens, or did it and tried to cover it up, which is unfortunate because that's just, I mean, that's bad business for PSA. I don't think they want that to happen. I don't believe PSA as a company wants damage to happen to a card and for somebody to try to cover it up. So my response to her at this point, I'm a little frustrated, trying to be as respectful as possible, but I said, they are different scratches. So are you not allowing me to speak to a supervisor? So here's the thing that you feel a little like a Karen at this point, but you have to point out because customer service agents are, I believe, federally required. At least that's what I was told at T-Mobile, and it may be different for different, I don't know. But if you ask to speak to a supervisor, you will be allowed to speak to a supervisor, whether that's company policy or otherwise. So I'm just like, hey, are you not going to let me talk to a supervisor? The person responded very respectfully. I'm sorry, I didn't see the request to speak to a supervisor. I get it. I didn't see their statement of, hey, you can send it in and we'll review it. Because had I seen that, I would have just taken that option, never asked to speak to a supervisor, sent it in to them, and then if it didn't go right, then reach out and ask to speak to a supervisor. So they said, sorry about that. I will reach out to you. Somebody will reach out to you in 3 to 5 business days, maybe via email or phone. I ended up getting a phone call a few hours later. So same day, finally got a phone call, which was great. And I only say finally because I asked several times if they could just call me because I would have loved to talk it out. I think via email, things get lost. I definitely missed something they said. They obviously missed something that I said. I don't think it's intentional. I think it happens. I'm looking at a lot of emails. They're looking at a lot of emails. I get it. I really do. They called me within an hour. This is how the conversation goes. The person on the phone says, hey, Mr. Ambrose, how's your day going? I said, great. Thank you for giving me the call. I appreciate it. They said, perfect. So we're looking at this situation around a Wander Franco, correct? I said, yes. I said, what information do you need from me? She says, none. We got everything we need. I just have one question. Do you believe that scratch is on the case or do you believe it's on the card? And I said, well, ma'am, I send in thousands of cards to PSA. She goes, absolutely. I've seen your account. I know. I go, I've never complained once. She goes, I've seen your account. I know. I said, I can't remember the last thing I said, but I said something else. All of these things just to like help them understand. Like, I know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not trying to be rude. I wouldn't even have contacted them if it was a scratch on the case because scratches happen on the cases. I don't even really worry about it too much unless it's like really terrible, but I've never had one bad from PSA. They ship well. They do a great job. So I said to her, I said, yeah, it's on the card. I go, the card would have graded an 8 or a 9 had it not had this big gash on it. You guys graded it as a 6. I understand why it's graded a 6, but that scratch wasn't there, you can see. And she goes, I can. It's not a problem. I'm going to email you. She said within an hour and a half, hour or something like this. Ended up being 2 hours. Totally fine. It's fine. She emailed me. And so you can see all of this is good. Label expires within 30 days. I'm getting it out today. This happened yesterday. Just wanted to share this with you guys. Again, a lot of bad things get said about breakers, about companies, about different people within this space. Happens everywhere. I mean, I worked at T-Mobile. I worked in the cancellation department. I'm telling you, I've heard some horrendous stories about T-Mobile that I believe happen. I just don't think that they're intentional. Some people think people are out to get you. I don't think anybody did this on purpose. The absolute worst case scenario for how this happened is somebody damaged this card and tried to cover it up because they didn't want to lose their job. That's the worst case scenario. I don't think anybody did this intentionally. I think it was an accident. I think the most intentional negative thing that could have happened is somebody knows they did it and they tried to cover it up because they were worried about losing their job. Which, by the way, you don't want to do that, right? Like if a mistake happens, an accident happens, just own it. Say, my bad, I screwed up. And maybe they'd screwed up a couple times before and they'd been told by a manager at PSA that if this kept happening, they were going to get fired. If they find out that you covered it up, it's worse. You know what I mean? So that's the worst thing that happens, which means it's one person that maybe made a bad decision, right? But more than likely, it happened on accident and they just didn't notice because they're doing a lot of cards. They're trying to be efficient with their time. I get it. The point is this: follow through, right? If you think that there's an issue, make sure you talk to at least 2 people. I would suggest 3 people anytime that there's an issue, whether it be with T-Mobile, Comcast, PSA, doesn't matter, right? I know that you guys appreciate me and I appreciate you. The person whose card this is, I don't know what the resolution is. He knows that. I've reached out to him. But I do know that at least PSA is trying to take ownership of it at this point, which I appreciate. And I'm sharing this more as, again, here's the process I had to go through to get a resolution. Don't be afraid of the process. I don't believe anything was done intentionally negative. I think this was an accident. I do think that the process was cumbersome. I do believe that I own part of why it was more difficult than it needed to be. So anyway, in the end, I think it's a pretty cool thing. I'm happy that PSA is going to take care of it. A little different video than we make normally, but I've never run into this situation. Again, we send in thousands of cards. I'm sending in 150 this week for the community. So we send in tons and tons and tons of cards every year. We hope to continue doing that with you guys. It's a lot of fun. We like PSA. They are a good company. I think this was just a mistake. Again, just sharing the process that we had to go through to get this taken care of. So appreciate you guys. If you guys need anything, do not hesitate to reach out. We'll talk soon. Drop a comment on the video if you have any questions. If there's anything else you're curious about. We'll see you guys soon. I'm out.